way women are portrayed on these series is more real. I don't know if it's particularly realistic, but it's also, there's a good girl underlying. Like Selena is a good girl. Zoe is, brash. She's going for what she wants, whatever. Then what's her name? Played by Irene. She's very much in love with her man. You know what I mean? So there are kind of those stereotypes, which is why I was excited to meet Nana Tandala now on Kina, and she's not nice at all, But even now, her husband, you're like, hey, this guy, I want police inspector, you can't see what your wife is doing. So I'll say I like that Njoro is trying. I don't know if the women are particularly realistic, but the men are particularly negative. I think we can agree there.
They're weak.
Ruben's like, they're weak.
And maybe we do it very, we're not aware about, that because of our setup. So subconsciously it's happening. But there are no more Rambos and Schwarzeneggers.
Yeah.
And the guys we grew up watching their movies and like, I want to be like that guy. So I don't know if these are the times. I don't know, but that's my personal observation.
Okay, so to wrap up, let me ask you this. Someone's going to watch this, they've heard there's a gap, we need good men, they'll come up with a series. How do you get your series on MultiChoice? How do you get your series on MultiChoice?
You send emails for 3 years. You send emails fast, visit a mountain.
Hope and prayer.
I sent the woman with 2 shows and you're saying, hey, visit a mountain, pray fast. Go on.
I think MultiChoice have a very open door policy. And I'm saying this, and I'm sure Lucy will agree with me, in comparison to other stations, and nothing wrong with those stations. Yeah. Because they have a portal where you can pitch your idea, you go to the website, submit if it's solicited or unsolicited concept. And the beauty about it is they will give you feedback if it's yes or no. During our times, the days of dropping a DVD at the reception, we dropped many DVDs. And we made calls and no one would answer. And before you know it, you will see your concept being done.
Yes. And then it's like, with that disclaimer, any similarity to characters, real or imagined, is accidental. Yes.
So I think that's very important for me. I mean, that feedback to know yes or no, or maybe you can consider, we don't have the funds for now. Or I think that's a very important feedback for any person who is pursuing to pitch, because then you know what next. So it's people think you need to know someone or whatever. You pitch, you do a pilot pitch. It helps when you do a pilot. I know people like my friend Daudi Anguka of Peta, he just pitched. And if your concept stands out, it stands out.
Yes, Peta definitely stands out. Yes, with the mermaids and everything. Okay, I was going to say we're done, but wait, I have one last question. Have there been surprises in this work, like as a director, as a showrunner, as a producer? What are some of the pleasant surprises? Pick one. Each of you give me one pleasant surprise. Something you've learned, something you weren't expecting. I was like, oh wow.
I think I'll go first, as the others maybe put their thoughts together. So I remember not too long ago, I was watching Njorowa Uba. Allow me to talk this up because it's one of my favorite shows, and I'm not biased. So what am I doing? I was watching the show with my youngest son, and he said something. Mom, when you told us you wanted to do a show about a taxi driver, I could not see how long you could do this or what was going to be interesting. And the reason he said this is because he tried to save up as many episodes. Like, we'll only watch once a month so that you have a collection. And then we binge watch like 4 episodes at least. So it's something that we look forward to. And he said he could not see how this show was going to work. And we had the same question when we were starting out, and I remember we had the conversation with Arnold because he was part of the creative team at the beginning, where we were saying, how do we make people not get bored of being inside a taxi? Because you're inside a taxi, like, for what? 80% of the episode. So how are we going to keep people viewing, not just that episode, but season after season? So now when I go back and I see the sort of the feedback we've gotten from our audiences, how the audience has grown, and that we are now doing we just finished our episode 156 in the writer's room. And we are like, I can't wait for the next writing cycle, because I already have so many ideas again, that we've been able to keep that going and we are not getting tired. We also had a workshop with taxi drivers in Nairobi again last week. And most of them are fans of the show, and they are so excited. They are saying, I can't wait to see my contribution on the show. They have to wait until next year, but it doesn't matter. But the fact that we have so many other stories that we will tell in this small space, I think for me it's a pleasant surprise that we've been able to sustain a taxi show for as long as we have, and we hope we go on for long. Yeah.
Okay. Nice, very nice. I love that you're talking to taxis, to other Uber drivers, and you're workshopping with them. I love that. I think that's what keeps the show.
I'll say, Valentine, I'm not a taxi driver. Yeah, I'm not a taxi driver. I don't know their stories. I've only been a passenger in their cars. So it helps when they come in and they give us the stories and their experiences, because that's what we borrow from and create the show.
Okay. Arnold, pleasant surprises or lessons?
I think mine is going to be a bit of a cop-out, because it's just going to be a bit general. But I think I get surprised almost every day I'm on set. It's just that there's so many moving parts to making a film or a show, or an episode rather, and anything could go wrong, and often a lot of things go wrong. And it's insane that at the end of the day, we get something, and not just something, but something good. So I always tell Lucy that filmmaking is magical, because it always feels that way to me. It's how did we cast Joaquinho for Njoro? How do we get? How did we come to this decision for the cameras? How did we do this? How does Varshita? I mean, there's just so many magical moments on set that when I look at the final project and I see it, I'm like, how did that happen? When did that happen? So I think that for me is part of the joy of being a filmmaker and directing. It's just that every single day is a surprise and it's magical, and I want my world to be magical. So I surround myself with the magic. Let me remain in film where magic happens on a daily. Yeah.
Okay. Ruben?
For me, I think two moments that very significant for me. One is how the actors have become stars over a very short period of time. Last year, I bumped into Njoro or Uber at the airport. We were going to Mombasa, and we at the lounge, and we were chatting, and then by the time we started the boarding, it was just clear that no one knows me. Everyone knows Njoro. No one knows. He's trying to squeeze me into his discussion. I'm like, dude, they don't care about me. That is just something else. You've seen the Selinas and whatever, when they came for auditions, and they were just, and all of a sudden they're stars, and you walk into offices and people just recognize you by the virtue of your work. I think that's one. The second one is, when we started, there was a lot of pressure on Selena when we began, and even in our emails, all our bosses from South Africa, CEO Mnet Africa, they were copied in. It was so much pressure. I remember one of my bosses told me, Ruben, if this thing does not work, I'll be fired. I think I took it literally. But we gave it all in our season one. We just gave it 150%. We just gave it the mistakes, the whatever we were doing, we just gave it all. And when the show began, when the show started airing, it took a life of its own. in Kiswahili watu wanasema ilienda ikiendanga okay? Then all of a sudden you watch your own work and you're like, wait, what happened? You know, what just happened? That was magical. Some of those things you can't explain why, how. Because yes, you're doing a good job, you're giving your all, but you never anticipated. I can never lie to you that I anticipated this kind of following and this kind of, what we knew is we were just doing a good show. And I just pushed my guys to, look guys, this is it. We must make sure this thing works. We didn't know that, you know, it would just blow up to be this thing 700 and whatever episodes later.
Yes.
Yeah.
I will say, having been like in media and in this industry for a while, it's very exciting to see that there are careers. You know, before it used to be like, this is a side hustle. Like if you're in media, entertainment, whatever, it's your side gig, and then you have a real job. But now it's really becoming, you know, you can get married, pay school fees, you know, buy a car, maybe even a house, whatever, purely based on your creativity and your talent. And that, for me, that's very, very exciting. Such an amazing conversation with Arnold, Ruben, and of course with Lucy. Now, do you have the DSTV app? Make sure you download it. And if not, you can dial *423# for the best shows in Kenya on DSTV and also on GoTV. So that's *423# to stay connected or to get connected. These shows, Varshita is on every single Wednesday at 7:30. Jorwa Uba is on Thursdays at 8 on Maisha Magic East, and Selena 8:30 every single weekday, Monday to Friday, and all these shows are on Maisha Magic East. So make sure you dial *423# and yes, watch the best shows in Kenya.